Hello, everybody. My name is Chris. I am also known as Lunatic Design, and we're going to be doing some drawing for you. I've been working on this map pack for a little while. I'm almost finished with it, and I just want to include y'all in my process. As you can see, I've gotten most of my bold lines put in already, and I'm going to be coming in here and I'm going to be doing some of these wall breaks, probably working with my firm brush pen as opposed to my soft brush pen. And then I'm going to go through and start doing some details and other things like that. There's a lot of stuff still left to be done on this map. All right. So I use this is a Tombow. This is a firm brush pen. It's a dark blue color. The soft one is a black color. So we're gonna come in here and start, adding some elements and stuff. And one of the things that I've done with this map pack that's different than what I usually do is you can see I've broken up these walls with screens, because there's a lot of screens, and I kind of wanted to have something that looked a little different from what I had done before. So, little pieces like that. And I do most of my detail work now with this firm pen with this pack. I've been doing most of my detail work with this pen with my firm pack. Just come in, nice lines. Well, as nice as I can manage. I'm not very good at it, but it doesn't matter so much. If you're wondering why I didn't stream last week, my wife was sick, so I had to take care of that. And I'm just gonna go, nice and slow. One of the problems that I've been running into especially with this cheap graph paper that I'm using, is that when I go nice and slow, pens tend to bleed a little bit. Makes my lines bolder and darker than I intend to, and details kind of blend together. And I'm not certain if it's the pens that I'm using or if it's the paper. My Sakura pens don't bleed like that, so it's probably a combination of both of those things. Oh, that one's not perfect, but that's alright. See how this does with doing this on camera, because I have to be further back than I would otherwise. This is kind of like a column in the middle of this this desk. Well, the purpose of it is it's full cover in the midst of all this partial cover. And that's how I do maps. I think about what is the gameplay element that this thing that I'm drawing is going to have. If something's going to provide, and those are two uniform. And there we go. Alright, and I'm going to come in here. Let's do these stairs. Let's do these straight lines here first. And I draw straighter and smoother, pulling back towards myself. And yeah, I want to have a little thing here. And this isn't the best idea for doing these, but add some elements of stuff and here and there. And I want to kind of make that just a little uniform. Instead of that one, this one's going to come there. This one's going to cross under. It's going to go there. Do some stuff down here in the corner. And mostly that's just to break up these lines. Which indicate the grading that's down here. I'm going to go back and texture that grading with a finer pen. I didn't include that in the other one, but it kind of matches. And I'm kind of digging it. Throw some more just rubble and decay. Throw some right underneath here, that space. Make sure that's connected. Excellent. And I want to include like things like that before I go in and I texture the floors and stuff like that, because they're going to break up the lines of the floors. All right. And then from there, I just, pick another spot. Yeah, that's, the process of how I draw my maps. Let's come over here, fill in this spot. And you notice this top landing always has a slightly bolder, darker line. And that's because it's I try to use a lot of different visual clues for things like levels. Notice the outside edge of this little half wall is much darker than the inside one, because that's the kind of the boundary for when things go out. Oh, and I've got somebody watching. Hello. Hopefully you're having a good Wednesday. that to match up entirely, so we're going to make that change on this one. There we go. Yeah, I like that a little better. That little slight overhang. And very small cable right there. I have another one right there. And I don't like that one as much. That's okay. I've got lots of cables down in here. I'll have another one come out here. I'm going to have to fix that one a little bit. And so anything that I think I'm going to have to fix later on, I just make a little note for myself. I haven't done nearly as much streaming in the past week for this map pack as I usually do. And the reason for that is it's the way that I draw. I don't usually, because I'm doing this as a hobby, not as a living. So I don't usually have the time or the inclination to sit down and draw for 3 or 4 hours. And I also don't really draw on a schedule. Like I'll be at my computer and I'll be watching a show or working on something else, and I'll be like, ooh, I kind of want to draw this. And, and I just pull out my little, I've got a little, sort of like drawing pad thing on my desk. I just whip that out real quick and start slapping some ink around, and so there's no lights to set up, no camera to set up, nothing like that. Just I'm in the mood to draw, so I just start, doodling a little bit. And kind of enjoy that a little bit more than, when I've got it kind of stuck in my head that, I've got to stream. And I didn't like these cables. These were not very good, so I'm just gonna kind of come down and throw another one down in there. Just do one on each side. And oh, that was not good. Making a lot of mistakes today. Oh, and there's my phone going off. And if you're wondering what that banging noise is, that is my cat Spooky. Alright, and I want to come just a little bit of separation back there. Kind of indicate that these, yeah. Maybe fold this up just a little bit more. When it comes to, like, making computer desks and stuff like that, just, start making some shapes and cut them out a little bit and add details here and there. And I think these are too small to have screens on them, so I'm going to remove the screens from them now. I'm just going to put a little light on probably the inside. And I'm going to do that a couple different ways. Number one, come in here with my soft pin. I'm pushing down fairly firmly because I want these to break up lines of sight and light and provide cover. I'm going to go a little softer because I want to have this, like, this is a little elevated. And there we go. A little light on the side of it. And then, I want to put some cabling in here. So generally when I'm making a big kind of sweeping steps, I take a breath, and then as I exhale, that's when I draw. And that one's not the best, but I'm going to throw some little rubble and dirt highlights in here. Not a lot, just a few here and there. One of the guys on Cartographers Guild said, "Great map. Next time you do one, do something without all the decay and the destruction." And so I think the next pack I do, I'm gonna try to avoid doing the sprawling decay that I usually like to include in my maps. That one needed another thing there. And I'm going to cross over this one. under that one. I'm going to go back and fix that later. I'll put another one right here. Little one. There we go. And there's some things to break that up, and let's come in here and let's do the edges of this kind of grading area. And I want to be kind of, you know, a light touch with it if I can be. So I'm coming down on it a little bit more than I was. This makes the tip of my pen a little finer. I'm just using very light pressure. And that was Puddin', who wants something but is not going to be clear about what she wants. So I'm just turning the page just so I can keep my lines a little straighter than otherwise. Hopefully it's not too disorienting for y'all. One of the other reasons why you don't see me streaming as much is the camera's in my way, and it's a little harder to draw. So I was doing less drawing because I'm like, I don't wanna bust out the camera and, you know, have to work around it as much. Now that's not to say that I'm going to go anywhere. I'm going to keep drawing maps, and I'm going to keep streaming. And I've thought about doing tutorials and stuff like that for, you know, I guess my style of map making. But, you know, if I want to do tutorials, I should probably take a couple of drawing classes and learn, you know, how to actually draw, as opposed to faking it like I usually do. Because, you know, there's a bit of a difference in those things. Alright, and I wanna... Oh, hello, Mr. Moth. There we go. That one's nice. I like how that one turned out. And there we go. Little piece here and there. Or is that a mosquito that's trying to bite me? That is a mosquito that's trying to bite me. The official bird of Florida. Alright, well, let's keep going. Little pieces at a time. Right. I'm not pushing down real hard. But, you know, I do push down a little firmly when I'm doing the top edge of these screens. All right. think that's going pretty good. How about you? And I just, pick another room. And I try to, draw in sort of the order of a, foreground element to background element. It's not always the case, but, more like guidelines than actual rules. Just gonna simplify that shape a little bit. And sometimes that's what you gotta do. Is you gotta, you've got something down on the paper and like, oh, that looked really good right now, but it's just a little too complicated, and you kind of lose what you're doing. Sometimes you have to simplify a little bit. And I didn't like how I did the 2.5D in here at all. So I'm just going to come in, and these are just going to be boxes. And I'm just going to leave that whole 2.5D out. And I was going to do like a grading in there, but I think that'll be too busy for that. But what I'm going to do, because these are finer wires and stuff, I'm going to switch over to my Micron pin. I'm going to use a 03 because that gives me a kind of a predictable line to work with. And I'm going to have to do a bit of work when I come back in here with my photo editor, just to clean this up a little bit. And there we go. There's like a sort of like a server room with like a wire explosion. One of the complaints that I've gotten, over the time that I've been doing this. This is meant to be used as a like a battle map, like a play mat for figurines. You can use it for either. Hi, welcome to the chat. Most of the time when I do maps and stuff, to me, maps are kind of just they're kind of a play and visual aid for the most part. And it's a bit of a cheat, because if I can draw a map of it, or if I can find a map of it, then I don't have to describe it in as much detail to my players, and I can cheat like that. Oh, thank you very much. Mm-hmm. In general, when I do maps, I do them for a couple of reasons. Um, I like to draw encounter maps and exploration maps. And an encounter map is it's the room where it happened. The room where it happened. The room where it happened. Um, like like an awful pit trap. They fall into a pit and it starts filling up with acid and stuff like that. You know, I'd draw an encounter map for that. You know, if you know the layout of the room is important. If my players are going into a combat, I'll draw out a map for that. Because it adds a... Honestly, it adds a little bit of a board game element to a tabletop game. Because, you know, players can see and they can think, okay, well, I'm going to move over to that thing and take cover behind it. Or I'm going to climb up on that ledge and shoot down on this guy. And instead of spending all of my time figuring out and describing the room that they're in, I can figure out, you know, which of the actions that they're picking would potentially get their character killed. Which, you know, that's the fun part. This is generally kind of cyberpunk themed. Because I hadn't updated that my maps in that style. I've got one other pack of this on DriveThruRPG. But this is just kind of futuristic, cyberpunk, urban decay, sprawl kind of stuff. So you could use it for a cyberpunk game. I will frequently use these for Star Wars, actually. Because I like having like Nar Shaddaa and Coruscant and stuff like that. Just a little indicator of where the controls are. Oh, nice. I love Star Wars D6. I don't like, there's a lot of things about various games that I don't like, but I still love, there's still a warm place in my heart for Star Wars D6. Shadowrun, I never really got into Shadowrun. I started playing GURPS, and that was kind of the last major system update that I had done. for a little while. Now I'm using Savage Worlds. I'm enjoying it a lot. That's another small cable, so I'll take care of that in a little bit. There we go. I don't really need a cable in there. I'm just gonna put some, little bits of dirt and schmutz in here. Oh yeah, I live. I started playing games with the Dungeons and Dragons Red Box set, Basic Dungeons and Dragons, I think is what it was called. And then they had the blue one, which was Expert. And then we got into Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. And I got into GURPS like in second edition GURPS. And I just really enjoyed generic systems, point buy as opposed to rolling out stats. And there's just so much flexibility in that. Okay, I'm actually almost done. Well, I'm almost done with this pen. A little bold with it, going through and doing up these lockers. Just gonna get a little bold with it, doing these open doors and this bottom edge. For these smaller lockers, I'm just gonna do the outside edges nice and bold. For the shelves, and when you make maps, I recommend that you kind of develop a mental library for how things typically look in your world. You want an ammo crate to always look like an ammo crate, and a locker to always look like a locker. MERP, I've never heard of MERP. Indie stream since 2000s. Nice. Never heard of MERP. But I did take a very long break from tabletop gaming. Was a friend of mine pretty recently got me back into doing tabletop games. And coincidentally, one of the most paranoid group of players that I've ever run games for. They set a watch in a hotel in the middle of the town that they'd just saved that was throwing them a celebration. All I keep wondering is, wow, who hurt you guys? I'm not actually out to get anybody. There we go. Oh, forgot a little piece. And I think, you know what? I think I'm going to do that. There we go. And take a moment, kind of look. Anything else needs more details? A couple things to fix, a lot of stuff to detail. And for me, the way I know that if I'm at this point or not is I look at what I have, and if I have enough to run a game on it, then I'm done with my bold pins. And yeah, I think that is I think that's enough. So the next step from here is coming in and doing some well, the next step from here is because I am finished. Put our name on it. Our name. Oh my god. And I mark a place for it because I will forget and leave myself no room to do this. I'm gonna come here to my 3. And really only one thing stands between me and completely calling this map complete, and that is cross-hatching. Make it a little bit more easily identified where walls and other light blocking layers border. And cross-hatching does mean it takes a little longer to color, but I found that I like the presentation of it significantly better. And just because it's in the wall doesn't mean there can't be rubble. Put rubble all over the place. Gotta love that rubble. That's a labor of love. Cross-hatching? I like cross-hatching. Cross-hatching... If I didn't like cross-hatching, I would be in trouble. I do a lot of it. I use it for all kinds of different kinds of stuff. You're going to see it here in a second. Like, I'm not anywhere... At this point, I'm probably about halfway done with this map. There's stuff that I'm gonna probably put in here that's actually not gonna wind up going through on the scanner and the process that I usually put my my line art through, because I like the way it looks. So there's details that are gonna get lost here and there, and that's okay. And we just go through. And there goes that mosquito that's been biting me for the last 10 minutes. Yes, I do color digitally. I don't quite have the courage to try to do like paint on these yet. That and this is the cheapest Amazon Basics graph paper that I could find. Like a ballpoint pen bleeds through. That's a lot. For me, that's a lot of bleed. But yeah, I color these all digitally. I completely forgot to connect that. That's okay. Though I will have to say that one of these days, I actually want to try to do like paint on canvas. Like, not just for like this step, but like the whole thing. I want to try to Bob Ross a battle map, because I think that would be very cool. Um, I don't know how to paint in that method very well, and it's been a very long time since I've done any paints. But I think that would just be such a cool thing to do. Maybe more for like a country kind of cityscape kind of map. Mm-hmm. Gotta be comfortable. That does help a lot. But sometimes it's good to be a little bold. One of the reasons that I color digitally is because I still rely on graph paper for keeping things to scale and keeping lines straight and maps put together. Well, it kind of helps me with how things come together. And if I were to paint on top of this, then I'd have to figure out how to take out the blue lines without doing other things. I'm not certain how I would do that. As it is, I take out the blue lines when I scan it, because I scan it into a grayscale image, and then I have it drop blue out. Mm-hmm. Oh, I love the old black and white maps. And there's somebody out there. It's not. It doesn't do black and white. I can't remember his name. Um, it's got that old school kind of feel to him, and he uses. It's still monochromatic, but like I've seen him use like blues and purples and reds, but it's usually like black and white and like red and uh, dark and stuff like that. Hello, and I'm going to butcher the name, Trau Famado. Yeah, thank you very much. Well, the graph paper definitely helps me. I draw at a slightly different scale than some people do for the encounter maps that I do. For example, like 4 squares altogether, that's 1 square. Basically a half-inch square is an inch for me once I get everything blown up and stuff. And when I moved up scale size, it made something so much easier to do. Made it so much easier to draw details. I felt like I was having an easier time with drawing, just making it a little bigger. And as a result, I've actually thought about drawing a 1-to-1 scale, seeing how that comes out. I've also thought about moving up to 11 by 17 and drawing like a 3/4 scale as opposed to a half scale, and then scan it in. Because my scanner is only 8.5 by 11. I have to scan it in 2 different ways and stitch it together. Haven't quite gotten that bold with it yet. Maybe one of these days. What I'm doing is still working. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got a... I haven't tried it yet. My scanner has like a scan and stitch program that came along with it. That I'm not certain if it actually works or not, because I haven't really messed with it. So I'm supposed to be able to scan multiple images and then have the program figure out where they're supposed to go and how they're supposed to fit together. I just haven't gotten quite that far into it. Let's see. Just taking a moment to look, see if there are bits and bobs and stuff that I need to do still. All kinds of little details I'm going to throw in just a little bit. Alright. Couple of things to do. I'm going to come back and continue with 03. Not to quite to getting serious kinds of details in yet, but I get the details that are obvious, and I don't want to push real hard while I'm doing this, because if I do, then I start running into some issues. Yeah, I decided I wanted to put one of those in anyway. Right. And now turn these into shelves. Just a little bit of stuff going back. Boop, boop, boop. Go over that twice. I'm just getting a little tack mark going in and out. Giving some little details here and there. Something for my players to loot. The process of how I do maps. I generally have an idea of like a feature, like something that I want to have and include. For this one, this is my feature, and this is kind of like a smaller pseudo copy of the feature. So I have an idea for like kind of the feature of the encounter map that I want to present. And I try to figure out what would lead up to that. So I wanted this like kind of like server office room where if it's cyberpunk, then they can be hacking it, or this could be a ship's engineering bay, anything like that. And I wanted to create a bit of a fatal funnel and choke point where my players would have to cross a dangerous environment to get there, in which they could also turn around and use this while, if one of the players is a hacker or an engineer and they're doing that kind of stuff, that gives them a small advantage in holding that off if it turns into like a kind of like a siege kind of thing. But it kind of just starts as I got an idea, then I start laying things out. And if I don't like the way it looks, then sometimes I'll toss it, sometimes I'll go with it anyway. It's like making spaghetti. I just throw it against the fridge and see what sticks. we go. And then we're going to get little details in here. And this is just going to get one little doot on each one. And then we're going to come in here and just kind of light that up just a little bit. Another thing that I'll sometimes do is I'll think of like a shape that I like, and then I'll take that shape and start trying to figure out, you know, where would various elements of this shape, where would they go? What kinds of things would be in this shape? And then I just start, you know, laying in decorations and stuff from that point. Alright, coffee cup here and there. Here it is, something underneath that. Just stuff. And yep, I'm gonna have to make a note down here. There's a few of those in this one. What game is this for exactly? This one's not for a game that I'm running currently. This is just a cyberpunk themed pack that I'm doing. I will probably use it in because I don't have a group that I'm running cyberpunk with. I have a group that I'm running Star Wars with. I will probably use it as a Star Wars map. Okay. I think, honestly, that's pretty much done from that point. Thank you very much. Still got a lot of work to do. Alright, so I'm going to come into my my O2. And let's start with some of this grading here. And primarily, what this is going to do is just really just going to give some texture to my floor. It's really just a way of making a map look more detailed than the details I put in it. It's kind of cheating in many ways. And when I scan this 02 is in the places where it's really the thinnest is just really gonna vanish. Like it literally just turns into some texture. Good. I was struggling when I first started out drawing maps. Depth was one of those things that I really struggled with a lot. Like, I had the hardest time making things look like they were above or below each other. And frequently, what I was running into is the things that I had planned to be on top always looked like they were on bottom. And the thing that helps me with that is I use thick, bold lines at the tops of things. I make sure that there's overlapping elements. Yeah, and when I color this, I use color a lot in shading. Things that are further away are usually a little bit more gray. All right. Now it's looking pretty good so far. So I'm going to set this aside for just a moment. And I want to add just some schmutz here and there in places. 3 or 4 pieces at a time. Just put that down there. Got my 03. Oh, thanks, Mash. I've been trying to improve and get better. I think I've come a long way. I started gaming when I was a kid, and I kind of lost that hobby for a while. Not for any like big major reasons, but just kind of stepped out of doing it for a little while. And now in my adulthood, I'm like, oh, I started to miss gaming again. I have some friends who kind of brought me back into the fold. And I started running a Star Wars game for them because that was my favorite game to run. Oh, I loved Star Wars. And they wanted to play a Star Wars game, and I wanted to run one. So just kind of matched up in that. And we were doing Theater of the Mind for combat. They were having because I was just coming back and I was pretty new to doing it. I wasn't very good at my descriptions of things, and they asked me if I could just draw it out. So I started using little things on the table and used their battle mat a couple times, and then I hated doing that because I don't like to feel like I'm rushed with stuff. And then I started wondering, hey, if I drew these out ahead of time, how could I put them in front of the players? And I've had a Roll20 account since 2015, I think, like 4 or 5 years. And I figured out that I could use that because I'd gotten it because I'd tried with a couple of friends of mine for a little while, trying to get a game going. It never panned out. And so what happened with that is I started drawing maps to put on Roll20 because I did draw like some maps just as like a personal bit of a reference for myself. And so I started putting them together, trying to make them look a little better because somebody other than me was going to be looking at them. And eventually started drawing more and more complex and in-depth maps and putting them on Roll20 for my players to see and interact with, because it helped them figure out what they wanted to do and understand the environment that they were in. And I watched a bunch of tutorials on YouTube and listened to what people were saying, and I got involved in the Cartographers Guild. And oh my, that if you have an interest in making maps, go to the Cartographers Guild. They will help you out. Those are some wonderful people. Like when people talk about toxicity of like community, and I've heard people tell me that various RPG communities are toxic or kind of hateful. My experience has been exactly the opposite. They've been welcoming, helpful, wonderful. Like I put a question out on pins that people use, and you get a lot of feedback and a lot of help. And maybe I've just been lucky, and I can oh no, didn't want to do that. That's okay. And now what I'm doing is going through my roll piles, just kind of adding little pieces of detail. None of those are probably going to get seen very well, but kind of makes them look a little dirtier. All right. And yeah. And the next step is I like to follow along my walls periodically. told you before that I wasn't even close to done with cross-hatching. Oh. There we go. And with this, with the cross hatching, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna create some more depth and separation on things. So on things like walls, like I'll get like nice and long and deep strokes. And even here with my piles of rubble, I'm gonna come in here. I'm gonna do a little bit of cross hatching here around the edges of them. It's not always, exactly shading. Sometimes it's moisture. It's just, this is a way for me to kind of signal that something is higher up than the thing below it. So this is higher up. This is higher up than this, so this can cross hatch onto that. This is much higher up, so I might get like, a little wider there, and then I've got some little higher ups things in here. And little stuff like that. One of the things I do try to avoid doing is I try to avoid doing floor details that are like, I try to avoid doing the grid in my floor details. The major reason is because I never get these to scan perfectly cleanly and straight. And then it looks really funny when I put a grid on top of it. It takes a little bit more work, and I'm trying to save some effort on that. That needed just a little bit. This needs a little bit over here too. Sometimes just a little bit of schmutz. And I don't want to be uniform with it. I want to be kind of all over the place. Sometimes I'll do edges in the door. And what I want to not do is I don't want to do any cross hatching on this edge right here. The reason for that is when I come through, I want this edge to be lighter than that edge. That way it feels like it's closer. It's closer to the light source. And that will help maintain that illusion of depth. And, I start on one spot and, I go back frequently, and sometimes I'm like, oh, look at that, and, ooh, I didn't like that. That one didn't need as much right there, but that's okay. And what I might do for some of these is, this is probably carpeted, so I might come in here and just do, like, some texture here and yonder. Not anything that's like really kind of like over dramatic. And if I'm going to do some texture, I'll do some more extra texture in the shaded areas, just to give it something so that it's not just completely empty. And this is going to be kind of long down here, so I'll do some very long patches. And when I put this into, I use Photoshop and I use Krita. I use Krita a lot because Photoshop is a little bit more resource intensive, and I have a potato. One of my friends is actually quite amazed that I can actually stream anything with this setup that I have. And so I use Krita because Krita is a little less resource intensive, and I also stream, so it's kind of nice to be able to use a program that anybody who's watching can use. And yeah, this is kind of like a little ledge up in here. Just kind of do this angle on it. That's a little dark corner down in there. Now this is like a little half wall, so this is not a leading edge. I don't have to worry about keeping this nice and bright. In fact, I like to darken it in just a little bit with the cross hatching. And I gotta turn my pen because the pen cap is reflecting my my light right back into my eyes. And I think I'm actually going to finish this today. This is the last map of this pack to do. And then I'm going to put it up on DriveThruRPG. And I haven't done that yet, and I need to. I didn't even open up my program. This is nice and dark. And just give me a second. There we go. And again, look at what's foreground element and background element, and I'm gonna do these edges down in here and do a lot of shading down in here. a little close together. Alright. Because that reminds me. Thank you, Mash, for reminding me, because I don't often remember. If you like what you see, if you like what I'm doing, you can always come and check me out other places. I have an Instagram, I have a Twitter, I have a Patreon for people who want to help me buy new paper and pens and stuff like that. And I do sell these maps when I'm done with them. But I remember being a poor college student playing tabletop games, and you can't always necessarily afford the books that you want, let alone spend money on like maps and assets and stuff like that. So everything that I do goes up on DriveThruRPG, and it's all pay what you want. So it's a way for people to help support what I'm doing in this hobby. Buy new paper, new pens, and they can get maps that they can use. I also post frequently on Instagram and Twitter. And, those are, free, of course. So there's no obligation, because I'm going to do it anyway. And that's, one of the things I think is kind of important when it comes to, like, any hobby, is you got to do it for fun. This has got to be an enjoyable thing for you. Get these kind of close together, real fine. Get a little too uniform with it. That's okay. There's no mistakes in this. Just happy accidents, which is not accurate to me. I make mistakes all the time. You can see I've got fix. Things I've got to fix here and there. But nothing is nothing when it comes to this is truly insurmountable. And we just come through and we adding more depth and texture. So the next couple of videos I do, next couple of streams are probably going to be me coloring this in. And one of the things I try to do when I color in is I try to use like the same basic palette for all of my maps. Which has the downside of, my maps start all looking kind of samey. And I'm okay with that, because if they all kind of look the same, it means that, when I do this map pack, this might be, for me, this might be a server room for a cyberpunk corporation that the players have to do some things with. For you, it might be the engineering room of a ruined spaceship that's crashed on a planet, hundreds of years ago. There's a lot of things it could be. This could be, hydroponics. This could be, it's got oxygen tanks in there. Maybe it's life support. And if this matches the same kind of color palette that I used for like my swamp map pack or my forests, then maybe this is out in the forests somewhere. maybe you're running uh, like a post-apocalyptic fantasy, which actually is one of the first Dungeons and Dragons worlds I ever did, was post-apocalyptic fantasy. I called it Nexus. And while I've lost like all of the stuff that I had done on it, I remember some of it, and I kind of put it together again not that long ago. And well, there's some shading that can happen in here too. So there's little, you know, pieces and depths. And we go around and we find that. And maybe this is a, maybe this is like an old surviving computer lab or server room or something like that. But the world that it's set in is post-apocalyptic fantasy. So maybe, instead of, androids and security guards, you have like goblins and ghosts and the skeletons of those security guards guarding it. The thing I love about tabletop games is the endless possibilities. If I'm gonna play a computer game, I have to stick with the story that they plan. But when it comes to this kind of stuff, I'm like maybe I've got a god complex or something, but I'm kind of like my own deity in that sense. This is my world. I can do with it what I want. And having that freedom and authority is just kind of wonderful. And here I am waxing all philosophical while cross-hatching, which I used to hate cross-hatching so much, because it was always just so just time-consuming, and it makes it harder to, when I go back and I color these things in, it makes it harder to fill them in with colors and stuff like that. It adds work on, so I stopped doing it for a little while, and I noticed that I didn't like the maps that I was drawing as much without it. And the reason I wasn't liking cross-hatching was I think I was putting too much into trying to make it perfect. Trying to make a uniform, nice, crisp, clean lines like Dyson Logos does. And I had to give myself permission to not try to be not try to be Dyson, not try to be Mishka or Ross from 2 Minute Tabletop. To be a little sloppy, a little crazy with things, to be a bit of a lunatic, And when I did that, I started to really enjoy cross-hatching again. It lets me fill in spaces, make things seem more complete and finished. But your mileage may vary. Maybe you don't like to crosshatch, or maybe you even liked this map better before I started crosshatching it. That's okay. But if I find myself taking too much time with cross-hatching, then it's not as much fun. I use it as a way of doing very little but accomplishing a lot. It creates depth, texture. And all the fun good things. Let's see what else. And this is just gonna. This is going to be more stone and industrial kind of textures down in here, so I'm just going to give some nice, not really stone, but more like metallic and stuff like that. So I'm just going to throw some like indicator lines of stuff here and there. Just so my floors are not empty and these are going to be barely visible when I come back and, you know, do the thing. Maybe there's stuff in here. I want to stay away from the rounded shapes too much because that makes it look more organic. And let me just, you know, here and there, just maybe these are, you know, some grease spots on the floor. Just add a little, just wherever your pen falls, you know. And let me turn that so that's not flashing me every time in the eye. And if you really want to get like really in depth with it, you can, you know, take these little hash spots that we're putting down, and you can put more of them on places that are a little lower. Like I can come in here and just kind of put a little bit more in there because it's a little lower than the others, and this is a little lower than up there, so I can come in here and get, you know, some scratches on the floor, and just give myself you know, and remember, you want to kind of keep that like towards, you know, you want to shade in here, not out in here. And I'm gonna switch over to my big boy, not my big boy, my firm pen, and there's a couple details in here that I think might look kind of cool just to have just kind of like laying about, like maybe there's a grate sitting off on the ground. Oh. Piece of just random wire. A little coil of wire over here. There's a little grate panel that's pried off and haven't been put back. Oh, little toolbox over here on the side. The wrench. This is gonna have like a work light on it, little lantern thing sitting off on the side, and just put in little details here and there. And I don't want to do a whole lot with it. I put in, you know, a couple little pieces of dirt here and there. Come in and look at the shading and stuff. See where things are and what can connect. This is kind of like a little maintenance area over here on the side. Let's put a... It's a little grate. Let's put one like right here in between these. And you can get more in depth with stuff. You can add, you know, ladders and other, you know, little pieces here and there. And looking at this, I think I'm done. I think I'm done with this map. Maybe even add a couple little hash marks in here. Just some, you know, stuff. And yeah, I'm almost. Yeah. So I think that's I don't have any texture. This is just a very bold open area right there that I don't like. Add something in here. Yeah, there we go. And that's what really all I'm going to do is just take a few moments and just kind of look at things. See what all is still around. Plenty of light sources out the other way. Alright. And at this point, all I'm doing is I'm playing with the map. I'm looking to see what I've got, what else I can add. Like I can add a little wall-mounted light source there, because this is going to create light. That's going to create light. This is going to create some light, but this is underneath, so it's not going to light this up. There's going to be some light over here. I don't really have anything over in here, so let's me throw... Oh, this is going to be overhead lit, so I don't need to throw a visual cue of that. This is going to create some light. These are all going to create a little bit of light. Just add a little little bits and bobs here and there. Just a little bit of that stuff in that. And to be honest, I think I'm done. Couple fidgets and smudges and stuff like that out in here. Don't want to go too overboard with it, because, you know, it is a darker pen and stuff. There we go. Take a nice hard look at it. And, yeah, I think I'm going to call that done. So, this is map 5 out of 5. I've posted some of these to Instagram and Twitter already, and I'm going to put a few more out here in just a second. And that's it's a map pack. That's a map pack finished. Hi, Monkey. How's it going? Thank you very much. But I tried to maintain a pseudo consistent style through all of these. But this latest one, this one's gonna go get scanned in here in just a moment. I'm gonna throw it up on Krita to fix some things, to patch some holes, make some corrections, and then, you know, start the process of coloring it in. I have to go to physical therapy here in about an hour, so I don't want to be too worn out for that. But what was it that I was doing? Where is it? Where is it? I don't know where that. Oh, that's where it is. But some fun and exciting things, because I'm weird like that, and I find some things to be fun and exciting. I got some new graph paper. I actually ordered some heavier weight stuff to use, and I haven't had a chance to use any of this yet, but I figure I might as well, you know, just unbox this on stream, see what it's like. I stream. I'm not very predictable. I stream mostly on. This is like the. I think this is the second or third cheapest. I actually paid attention to the weight of it when I was purchasing it. It has this nice thick border around the edge, so I'll be able to square things up. So I might actually start intentionally drawing a grid on my my maps. So, you know, I'm stepping up. And this was purchased with the money I made in the last couple months through Patreon. And it's on a pad, so maybe drawing on a softer surface will be a little easier on my hands. But It actually feels a lot smoother. We'll have to do some experimentation with this in a little bit, and see how it all lays in nicely. But this is 8.5 by 11. This is paper that I purchased through Amazon. So this is either the second or the third cheapest that I've got, and I've still got 500 some odd sheets of the really cheap stuff, so I can use that for doing sketches and things like that. But I wanted to kind of give something new a try. I still have an entire book of isometric stuff, and you can see where I was doing some messing around and sketching on trying to figure out how to do isometric maps, because they look really, really cool. And I still haven't quite figured out how it all lays together. But I might try to start experimenting with some more isometric paper in the future. And this is I think this is also from that same company. I think this might be from Alvin. But yeah, just some more stuff in the future. I've been trying to figure out when the best time for me to stream this stuff is. And I'm not quite certain. I have more viewers now than I usually do. But, yeah. So, fun things to do in the future. And at the moment, I don't have any idea what the next map pack is that I'm going to develop. My players in the Star Wars game are on Camino, and I've had that map pack done for a year. Those assets and stuff drawn up for about a year so far. But you know, since I'm pulling out some stuff, I might as well play around with it a little bit. And I'll show you all what I use. If I can, I'm gonna have to move my drawing table out of the way for just a moment. Just mess everything up. Alright, so when I'm drawing out maps, I draw on a blue graph paper, and I use 2 mechanical pencils. This one is my soft blue, and this one is my blue. And I draw on a half-inch scale. So this would be 1 inch. And I use that light blue to get kind of a general sketch. And I come through and I can darken it up in places with a darker blue. And every now and then I'll use, you know, handy dandy eraser. And that even erases a little bit more cleanly. So I really was digging the cyberpunk feel of this stuff. I might go back and do another one of that. You can always feel free to send me a message. If you're like, hey, I'm doing a game and I want a map pack, I need maps like this. Well, it's not necessarily a commission, but it might inspire me to draw something like that. So feel free to help these sources of inspiration as well. As far as colors and stuff like that, this is exactly what I use. I use the 60 millimeter soft blue and blue to color it out, and that's just because I don't have to go back and erase any of my my pencil lines. Oh, let me think. What time is it? How long have I been streaming? About 2 hours. I think I'm gonna call it there, and I'll probably be back. Now, who knows? I'll probably be. I'm almost always streaming on Wednesdays. Usually during the day, Eastern time. On my schedule, it has me down for like 4 o'clock. But that's I don't really have a set schedule. I'm not very good about that. I will try to improve on that in 2021. But we'll have to see. We'll see where things go. But I'm going to be heading out here in just a moment. If you like what you see, you want to support what I'm doing, you can find me on patreon.com/lunaticdesign. All of these maps that you see me draw go up on drivethrurpg.com. I'm also Lunatic Design on that as well. There's a link in the chat, and let me repost that because it is running into the end of everything. All of my maps are sold for on DriveThruRPG as pay what you want. So don't worry about don't take care of yourself first, and your finances and your bills and stuff, and grab it for free if you need it or want it. You can also find me on Instagram at _lunaticdesign, on Twitter at _lunaticdesign, pretty much all over the place. But I'm Chris. Thank you so much for watching. Y'all have been great. Thank you for joining me. It actually makes drawing and doing all this stuff a lot more enjoyable. I'm gonna be heading out to physical therapy to get my shoulder worked on, and I'm gonna be going to work tonight. No longer peak season, so not nearly as exhausted as I was. But for all of you, have fun, be safe, and happy gaming.